In 1776, when 56 signers of a single document sealed their fate for treason, they also ran the risk of dying if they were caught. Could you imagine a single signature causing your death? That's what every person on the bottom of this document was facing when they signed it. The Declaration of the Independence was written at a time when a moral boost was needed during the American Revolutionary War. It also composes of all the reasons of why they wanted to break away from England at the current time. It was actually written as a formal document because the original document was written on July 2nd, the Lee Resolution. The Lee Resolution, written by the Second Continental Congress, actually said that they were going to break away. This was just a formal reason of why they were breaking away. And in it, it composes of 4 different parts. First was the introductory part, which had the natural law. And this said that everybody had the right to be independent. Second was the preamble, and that had the most famous line from it that said that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were all things that people deserved. And that has actually been used by many people later on. And later down, it has the grievances listed by the colonists of why they were breaking away from England. And finally, in conclusion, it said of why and everything that was summed up in the previous paragraphs. And this came at a time during the Revolutionary War when the time was looking grim. In 1776, the book written by David McCulloch, which was a #1 national bestseller, he says that no longer were they only fighting for the defense of their country or for the rightful liberties. It was an all-out war for an independent America. Up until that point, they didn't know what they were fighting for. The battles of Lexington and Concord, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard, they had happened, but they didn't know what they were fighting for. Some people still thought that they could be absolved back with Britain. This was to say all that they were fighting for an independent America. They were breaking completely away from Britain. And the basis for the Declaration comes from the ideas of John Locke. John Locke was a French Revolution thinker and an Enlightenment thinker, and he said that all people deserve life, liberty, and property. Now, Thomas Jefferson, the writer, came up with a different idea when he put the pursuit of happiness, saying that government did have a little control over your property. And the Declaration itself has been the basis for many human rights movements throughout history. If you look at Martin Luther King Jr., he especially used this when we were trying to break racial segregation. Back in 1863, Abraham Lincoln used this entire document as the basis for his Gettysburg Address. And a lot of people, they'll think that, the Declaration and the Constitution, they're pretty much the same thing. They are totally separate. The Declaration was only during the time of war, said that they were independent. The Constitution sets up the whole 3 branches, your judicial, executive, and legislative. They're totally different. But this is to say all. Whenever there's a ruling in courts, they'll go back and look at the Constitution. If they can't find it in the Constitution, they'll go right back to this document and look. Does it infringe upon your life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness? That's where every ruling in American history comes from. And just some facts about it, the Declaration of Independence today is still housed at the National Archives, and according to the National Archives website, it is stored using argon gas and a bulletproof shield. So, has anybody seen National Treasure in here? Anybody?
Oh yeah.
You guys know there is actually no writing on the back of the Declaration of Independence that is invisible. There is something that just says that it is the original document, but there is actually no writing besides that. Another thing about the Declaration of Independence is that there are 26 copies still from the 1700s still today. Chuck Norris, you guys all know Chuck Norris, he actually did a research on the Declaration and he found out some facts about it, that there's 26 copies left today, and one of them is actually very recent, and it was found practically new, hidden in a painting back from the war, because they wanted to try to hide all these, that way you weren't known as a treason. The biggest thing about the Declaration of Independence is how it has been the beacon for all human rights movements. People, even from back then to today, they still praise the way that it is set up and how it always is hoping for the Declaration and always hoping for human rights. Now, the Declaration was at a time when it was needed, badly needed, during the war when there was no reason to why they were fighting. It was set up in separate parts to make sure that it tied together and was formal. It was signed by everybody from each different colony, that way that each colony had a say in it. And finally, it is still being used as a human right beacon for today. The Declaration of Independence. Not only was it a document, but a beacon for liberty and human rights all over the world.